Nope, I missed it. Oh, there you go.
Running away is easy.
Okay, look, I think I've spent way too long thinking for a video idea, but then it hit me. Anyway, enough waffle. I want to get this video out before March 10th, 2029. I think it's best I go over the history of these units, especially considering my 0.1% of viewers from Hong Kong probably don't know what I'm on about. In the 1970s, London Underground ordered new rolling stock to replace the absolutely disgusting trains that came before. They were introduced in 1980 on the District Line on the main routes between Upminster and Ealing, Wimbledon, Olympia, and Richmond. They also served the East London Line for some silly reason. Here's the interior in their first days and also a later maquette design. You were able to control the doors, which used to be a commonly used feature before being removed in the 90s. The D78 stock trains use a camshaft system, and I must say, the best type of the bunch. They utilize LT119 motors, which are actually the same motors used on the Piccadilly Line 1973 stocks, which were built in the same time frame. The late 2000s saw these trains go through a refurbishment program carried out by Metronet, which brought in a completely refreshed interior and dot matrix displays at the front, side and interior of the train. And finally, stronger windows to combat people literally throwing bricks at them. Another thing to mention is that prior to this refurbishment, the D-stocks carried this old-style livery from the 80s, which I find funny as they were the only tube trains to still retain this livery for a good 15 or so years. A unit was selected to be an Olympic torch train. Anyway, 2 years later, the introduction of the new S-stock trains to the District Line meant that the D-stocks days were numbered. The C-stocks had already been withdrawn from service by now on the Wimbledon to Edgware Road services. Also, I've forgotten to mention earlier that since the D-stocks were too long between High Street Kensington and Edgware Road, they had to use C-stocks on those aforementioned services and terminate D-stocks early at High Street Kensington. Now here's where the fun begins. In the year of 2015, Vivarail purchases 226 London Underground D-stock carriages in interest of converting the old tube stock to mainline trains. In August of the same year, a prototype train is released, and the D-train is born. This initial unit was built as a diesel-electric unit, with the second being battery-powered. Oh dear. Meanwhile, the original London Underground D-stocks continued to work in service, being slowly replaced, until April 2017, when they ran on the District Line for the last time in passenger service. Following this, a rail tour was hosted on the 7th May. Many of these units now sit derelict in random yards, however not all of them. Coach 7012 is perverse at the Acton Depot in London. 7027 now sits in a primary school. 2 D-stock sets are actually still in use with London Underground. Just not in service, of course. Said units are used on the rail adhesion runs, which operate between September and December each year. They were brought on to replace the A60 stocks, which were over 50 years old by then.
A few operators ordered these new trains, which are known as the Class 230s. These being transport for Wales, West Midlands Railway and South Western Railway. SWR would instead have the similar Class 484 trains, to replace the ex-tube 1938 stock trains. The Class 484 entered service in 2021 following an upgrade to the Island Line. The Class 230s entered service on the Marston Vale Line in 2019, with the Welsh ones being introduced in 2023. Now, unfortunately for Viva Rail, they had fallen into administration in 2022, which led to the withdrawal of the West Midland units. How was the Marston Vale Line going to operate without any trains? Well, simple. Great Western Railway have recently bought these 230 trains and plan to use them on battery mode on various lines, including the Greenford Shuttle. As of me currently typing this out, they are still in testing. The Marston Vale line has recently reopened, using the 150s they used to run prior to the D trains. And I think that's about it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and don't leak any news of trains being repainted.